Howdy, welcome to Texas Front Porch. I'm your host, Tex. Y'all saddle up with me and my co-host. We're about to sink a spur and go on a ride that takes us down some rocky and windy trails. We're going to do our level best to cipher out everything we can about all sorts of critters. Bigfoot, dogman, pretty much anything that walks, creeps, crawls, or even takes to flight. The rabbit holes we're fixing to be poking our heads down is going to take a look-see into everything from abductions to xenophobes. We may not always agree, and that's all right. That, my friends, is how we learn. We will be conversating with a whole lot of interesting folks here on the old porch, and y'all are welcome to chime in. Just keep a civil tongue, and it will go as smooth as a fine whiskey. Y'all can find us over yonder on the Facebook, TikTok, Reddit, Rumble, or you can email us at paracryptidencounters@gmail.com, or if you're feeling real neighborly, shoot us a text, 972-559-0988. Enjoy the show, folks. Howdy, everybody. I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. Oh, man, it was hard hitting my deadline this year. It was, I had to squeeze in a shift at work and delivering presents. I mean, it was tough, but I pulled it off. And I got to tell you, I don't know if it was just our bunch, and by our bunch, I mean y'all. The nice list was a little longer than the naughty list this year, and I appreciate that, folks. Y'all are good. Y'all are good people, and we support we appreciate your support. And it is almost the end of another year, and we have jumped over the 4,000 line as far as subscribers go, and that's all due to y'all, and we really appreciate that. And onward to 5 and then 10K. That's what we're looking for. And that's going to allow us to do so much more stuff for y'all. And if we can ever get on the same page with YouTube and get remonetized. So we hope that happens. We really, really do. I've been doing the TikTok thing, if y'all don't know, so just look it up, Texas Front Porch. It's I've learned a lot of stuff from TikTok. Oh my gosh. I have to stick my head in the sand on some of it, but hey, I'm going to bring my co-host up, and you know what? Let me get her up here, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what we've got going on tonight. That's the wrong damn co-host.
Wrong co-host.
Well, and this co-host is doing somersaults, and then
of course.
See? And now she's gone.
She'll be back.
Well, this is starting out really well. Hell, we might as well bring up everybody else.
Wow. How did you track me down, Tex? I didn't expect to be on this afternoon. Then again, it is nighttime.
It is.
And there's Brandy.
Are you done doing gymnastics over there, Brandy?
And now where did Jason go?
Yeah, we've got blowing snow again tonight. And I can't find a way to get the best signal in here, and it just keeps going out. I'm like, I keep flipping everything around, going, well, if I hold my hand like this, my tongue out, then I might make it, and I'm just not getting it. It's not working.
Well, we will give you a pass if you keep going in and out. You just stay out, and we'll give you a pass for this week. We'll give you a paid day off.
Okay, I'll just keep smiling.
There you go. That way, if you freeze, I'm sure we catch your good side. So, I wanted to have all of us on because and just do a panel show on the stuff we've experienced and the stuff we've heard about in the last, in this past year, because it's been a weird one, folks. And we all know we're seeing an uptick in these kinds of encounters and stuff, and why? And I want to try to get everybody's opinion. Why is that happening? And see, we're all on the same page, or we thinking the same, or what? How many different ideas can we bring to the table, and possibly, hey, Bob, you could jump up here too.
Don't encourage him.
And I want to really get the audience involved, because I think they always have some great input, and they experience, and a lot of where we judge the stuff is not just reports we get; it's from reading the chat, because it's a lot of stuff that we'll see. Oh, I've had this happen. I've had this happen, and people talk about it in the chat when we're talking about something else, and it's just like every show, it's like somebody had something new happen, and it's just it got me to thinking, why, and we've kind of talked about it before, but we've never all got together and really discussed this, and I also want to touch on what we got coming up next year and where we're going to be and all that kind of stuff, because I know the Blondes have got a few things going on, and we've got something going on, and so
technically we have two things going on. We just don't have the final date for one of them.
Yeah.
We even have three things going on.
See,
we're learning things live on the air. This is what's happening.
Yeah, we are. As always. Y'all pardon me.
God bless you, Tex.
No.
I woke up yesterday and I didn't feel 100%. I feel better today. So I hope I'm not coming down with something. I hope I kicked it, but man. So, Brandy, while we've got you, because we don't know how long that's going to last, what do you think's going on? I mean, why do you think? Do you think it's just the world's getting smaller, or do you think it's that veil's thinning and we're starting to see more stuff? And I don't know if we have it or not.
Well, we got the hand.
Yeah, talk to the hand. All right, so Krista, we're swapping to you.
Oh man, I was wanting someone else to go first.
Well, we try to do. We try to be gentlemen, ladies first.
So, Rob, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, fellas,
No,
I'll go first unless you want.
No,
to,
you go right ahead.
Wow, some feedback. Okay, I don't know my thoughts. I think over the past 12 months.
Damn it, Rob.
Hey, Tex, good to see me again. I'm glad that the year's ending, because it's certainly going on there we go. I think that there's a lot of things. I'm not going to sit here for the next 19 minutes and ramble on. We all can discuss across the panel. I think more and more people too are, reporting these things. And as I'm losing everybody, Jason's
I'm here.
I'm doing something. It'll pay off in a minute. Just keep talking, Rob.
What I'm thinking, okay, here we go. I'm thinking that over the last 12 months, a lot more people are actually, Tex, you made a good point, because we do have a great chat audience, and also in our comments that we get. I derive a lot of information from our chat audience, and they're talking about encounters they had. In fact, we had Crystal J on, and we kind of fished her out of chat because she kept talking about some paranormal encounters. So we had her on the show, and we do plan on doing that moving forward into the next year. Also, the comments. We ask you people to leave a comments. A lot of times it's not necessarily whether you like the show or not, which that's fine as well, because we always ask you to leave a comment. But a lot of people leave comments. Yeah, well, something similar happened to me back some years ago. So I think people in the chat rooms and the people listening later are coming forth with some things. What I've noticed simply from emails that I get, and you guys know I do Bigfoot encounters, Dogman encounters, and those are actual people from our chat and people that have seen me on, Facebook or whatever to send me emails, and I've been reading those. to people. And I think that across the board, in the United States, more and more people are coming forward. And I do think it has a lot to do with the media attention via social media, like platforms like YouTube. And I'm not going to name the other ones. And I think there's so many shows, right? We're on every day, and there's many other shows on every day. Some are better than others. Some provide better content, and some have a lot of great guests on. A lot of people in the field that are either researchers or experiencers. And I think that people, like back when I had an encounter or Tex or Jimbo or Mary Sue, I think the more and more that people talk about the encounters and there's a platform for people to say, hey, you know what? I've had this that's been bugging me for the last 5 years. So more and more people come on. And it's not just this show. The one that started was Germer over there, the Sasquatch Chronicles. Boom. Yeah, I guess he kind of paved the way, right? So I think that people aren't as apprehensive or trying to look foolish like they did, like I did in 2018. I felt foolish about saying what I saw. And to this day, I even am more open about other things that I've seen, in the paranormal side, Kristen and everybody. So yeah, I think people are more open. And I do think that with our show in particular, we put out a quality show and people trust us. They'll come forward more openly, more freely. I think, Tex mentioned the thinning of the veil. I'm not big on that. I don't know a lot about that, but I know enough to know that perhaps that's something that's going on. And I just think it's the more exposure that's out there. And a lot of times too, of a lot of these encounters, a lot of them are very similar. I tell Jason and Tex all the time, 78-90% of the encounters that I come across is the Sasquatch crossing the road or the dog man running along, flanking somebody alongside their car. I mean, those are just, there's too many of them out there to just brush them off. So each and every one of them should be reported because maybe the next person will come forward. Then, of course, you've got the stories that are kind of crazy and out there. But on our channel, and me personally, and I can speak for Tex and Jason on this, we believe everybody's seen something.
We do too.
Maybe it's not always Dogman or Bigfoot or whatever, but it's something, and there's something out there. So yeah, that's why I think we've seen a big uptake, especially in these encounters and these reports, because I think people are a little more open to it than they were maybe a decade ago. And again, in summation, with the elevated channels out there, podcasts, YouTube channels, books, media, people are a little more free to talk about, especially if they have a safe place to go to, which we do provide. So I think that starts to show off nicely, if I don't mind saying.
Yep, agree 100%. For sure.
I love that, Brandy. I love that, Michigan. Very nice, very nice. Go blue. Sorry, I had to interject that before Tex got it rolling. That Texas Titans or something. I don't even know what their name is. Not even going to give it any credit. Yeah, whatever.
While Tex ponders his comeback, Krista or Brandy, which one of you would like to give your opinion as to why we may be seeing an uptick in paranormal and cryptozoological reports?
I mean, I agree with BMR. I think more people are feeling more comfortable in coming out. I don't think there's really necessarily any more encounters, but, more people are being more comfortable in talking about it. It's not such a taboo as it once was, in my opinion. And then, I seen somebody had a comment out there. I'm sorry, I don't remember who, but like they said, we're encroaching on their spaces too, and there's construction going up everywhere. And I apologize. I don't remember who made that comment, but I agree with that statement as well.
Yeah, I do believe that it has to do with the environment also. That may be one of the major things, is because it's like places that I used to go as a child that there was nobody at. You could just drive for miles and miles and there would be nobody. And there was just houses and businesses littered everywhere. So
yeah,
shopping malls
yeah.
I'm kind of a all of the above kind of person. I do think, to Rob's point, I think we're more people are willing to come out and talk about their experiences, where it was, I think people were suppressing their accounts. I mean, I know I did for 20 years.
Mhm.
So I think there's a part of it. We now have a way to actually, for people to actually make a more open, make their story known more
Sure.
easily, right, with social media. So I think the normalization of these stories in a place where people can actually hear them, those are two big things. But I do think even in that regard, we are still seeing something like a thinning of the veil, right? Where things are becoming, particularly in the paranormal field, are becoming more and more active. I remember a few years ago, we were, I couldn't find any good records of any of succubi being seen in the field for 1,000 years. And now in the last 20, it's blown
Oh,
up.
correct.
It's not uncommon to hear exorcists talk about how we don't have enough people to do the exorcisms that we're seeing,
Mhm.
right? So I do think that in my own work and experience, I can't go into too much detail on this because I've not been given permission to speak about it. So I got to be very, very vague. But I worked with some people who were working with another family, and a physical entity. This is clearly by no means a naturally existing entity.
Mhm.
Was physically coming into their homes to talk to one of the children. And it was seen by everyone. Everyone saw this thing. And it wasn't, again, this is clearly not a naturally existing creature. This was an entity. But it was taking physical form. It was moving things. It was crawling on walls. This was a physical thing. This is not an uncommon story that I'm hearing. In fact, when I hopped off, I was uploading something. I literally just got this on Saturday. This was sent to me by one of our viewers, Gabriel. This was seen. This video was taken again Saturday night over DeSoto, Texas, where I grew up, and it's a UFO.
Man, I wasn't even recording. Missing 411.
It's a plane right there, up there. You could tell that's a...
So it doesn't get much better than that. Yeah, but it's an orb. It's a very large orb, several hundred feet over DeSoto, Texas. Here's the thing. This is the fourth account in 6 months in that exact area. And it wasn't, if it was just in that same place doing that one thing, I might look towards a more natural occurrence like ball lightning or something like that. But it's in a general area, and it's other times it's moving, but this one, it was just floating over the area for an hour.
Wow.
And and here's the thing. One of the earliest accounts was me. Again, 3 of these accounts involved my friend. One of them, I was there for it. And again, he lives not too far from where this was taken. So, these things are happening way, way more often than it used to. So I do think part of it is social media. People they're normalizing these kinds of accounts. But I also think it is legitimately happening more often. And it's not just, I think there's a legitimate uptick in both, particularly the paranormal stuff. I think we're really seeing the bigger uptick in some of the broader, stranger paranormal phenomena.
Yeah, I would agree. We get a lot of people message us and want us to come check out and see what they have going on, and I would agree. There's quite a bit actually here lately. Especially, would you agree, Brandy? We've done quite a few private cases this year. So
I know, and it seems like that we've kind of had an outbreak, especially since COVID began. I think because more people were spending more time in their homes, and they actually were noticing more of what was happening, and they're like, hey, this is not right, and I think it's because, like I said, they spent more time at home and didn't even realize, or they just brushed off everything that they just saw a little bit,
right.
And during COVID, it really did pick up. It was crazy. I'm like, well, I don't even know why there is a sudden, lift in all of this. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yeah.
Like
No,
Jason said, that the veil, the thinning of the veil, and I honestly think that it is thinning to the point where people who don't believe in ghosts are going to see them. It is going to be undeniable.
mm-hmm. And
Because
also, as far as the paranormal, a lot of the cases that we've done have been on the negative side more so. And I don't mean demonic. I mean just, nasty entities. They've been more on the negative side than a Casper in someone's house scaring them.
Do y'all think?
right. But
with
we've got to take into account that a lot, the majority is just the proverbial grumpy old man.
Right.
That they're not demonic, they're not this, they're just grumpy people.
Right.
Hey,
So,
Tex,
you do have to take into account that too.
Tex, before you jump in with your question, before I forget, because I want to ask really quickly, when the girls talk about the thinning of the veil, is that mostly on the side of like entities mainly, because when I think thinning of the veil, I don't think cryptids. I think more supernatural.
But then again, when we're finding that the paranormal and the cryptids are kind of combining, I'm
Right.
not sure there is a difference.
Okay.
I don't
Mhm.
know.
Right.
I don't know. It's crazy how, like we've talked before, like when you see Bigfoot, some people have seen orbs around, which is a manifestation of energy. So,
Yeah.
to tell you the truth, I'm thinking more on the side of the paranormal and the afterlife and all of that. But am I for sure? No, absolutely not.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So let me ask y'all two a question. Do you think that because you said you've had a lot of an uptick in cases that y'all want to look into, and also an uptick in negative cases,
Mm-hmm.
and then you made the comment about COVID. Do you think that it's possible that the negative energy about people being stuck at home, about not being able to work, and all the stress with that, do you think that may have had something to do with it?
Yes.
Bringing out these negative encounters and stuff like this, because let's face it, there's been a lot of negative energy in the world over the last few years.
Yeah.
And, we've been trying to fight back, and that really is the reason we don't bring, we don't hammer you over the head with religion. We don't hammer you over the head with politics or any of that kind of stuff, because it's, you get beat up with that constantly.
Right.
If we can put out there something positive and get away from that for a little while, maybe we can make a dent in that. The scene from Ghostbusters comes to mind when that building covered with slime and they're trying to get through it. And that's, I feel like that's what we're trying to do. And that stuff actually fed off of negative and positive energy. I'm not saying we got a river of slime running underneath Dallas Airport or nothing like that, but
that wouldn't that be the Oklahoma airport?
Yeah, but is it something possibly that is feeding off of that energy? And is it possible that we could turn this thing around if we went positive more than we are negative? I mean,
I believe so. I think that if people had something good to get behind, now that's the problem. We are such a divided nation, a divided world on everything that it's hard to find a common thing that we can all be positive about. I mean, would you have any idea on something that everybody could come together about and be positive about?
Dolly Parton.
Yeah, there you go. We can do that. That's good. That's good. You know, it's just trying to find that one thing, you know,
Mhm.
is going to be very difficult. And then I think until the world finds some form of peace, I don't know what that is or how we'd even achieve that, but until that happens, I think we're just going to see more and more of this happening.
Well,
I think. Oh, and I just want to let y'all know I'm highlighting comments that we're going to come back to and address. So if you really want to get something, so we don't miss it, put it all in caps.
yeah.
But I'm already up to double digits, and so the second hour of the show, that's what we're going to do. We're going to address everybody's comments and questions and everything because they're great.
Mhm.
But you know, I think we like to call ourselves a community here on YouTube. A paranormal community, a cryptid community, a UFO community. Let's start. If we're going to talk the talk, let's walk the walk, folks. You know,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of us are trying to do that, but you've got some negative Nancy's over there that are, out there that are just they for some reason they just don't want to play with everybody else. I don't understand that when it's a positive goal you're striving for.
Right.
Negative
You know?
Nancy's. Nattering nabobs of negativity is the phrase I've always liked. But let me throw this out here. What if it's not? What if it's a chicken or the egg argument that we're having here? What if the reason the negativity is going up is because the veil is thinning and some of these entities are influencing us in ways we don't even understand?
Right.
And
well, when it comes to the chicken and the egg and what came first, it was the rooster. So, but I think that nobody but Jason got that. But
just keep
I
moving.
was just going to say I thought the chicken and the egg were the same.
Right.
But
just keep walking, Tex. Just keep walking.
Technically, it could be.
To your point, it's I think we've been bottled up for so long that a lot of us have forgotten how to interact with each other. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, and again, you're not wrong. And again, that's probably, again, if we go back to one of the theories that a lot of these, again, the upper echelons, right, are in communication with supernatural entities that may or may not have our best interest at heart. It may be, again, the veil is thinning. That's why we're being agitated, but that their servants then turn around and do things like lock us up for 2 years, like use algorithms and stuff they learn from the MK Ultra projects to make it even worse. So that can feed them as well. And maybe doesn't feed them, but gives them more control over us. It may just be a chicken or the egg sort of question is my point. I'm not negating that there aren't things that are being done to us on a natural level, but it may not be that they're coming over because of us, but rather they are coming over and it's agitating us, and we are also being manipulated on top of that deliberately to create sort of that cycle, right? To feed that thing, and normalizing of practices that were obscene just even 10, 15 years ago would have been people talking about doing certain things at all would have been considered just abhorrent. Now everyone's like, well, it's just whatever, right? Yeah. And maybe the agitation, the MK Ultra stuff that they're doing on our phones and our televisions and all this is to get those who may be more vulnerable to participate in these activities that gives those entities more power.
Well,
Right.
and you had an interesting show, and I advise everybody to go watch it. And it was called "Who Are They?"
Yeah.
Them, they, and you made some awesome points during that show, and it's
Thank you.
but it see what I put up with, but I'm wondering if, as we get back to the so-called norm, which I don't ever think, I don't think we'll ever see what as a norm of what we saw before the epidemic or whatever. So, but as we get back to our new, what we call norm, I'm wondering if it's going to, if we will, as we learn to, interact again, and will it come with more patience? Will we use what we've learned? Will we learn by our mistakes, type thing? And will it trend more towards the positive? Because I personally, and I know I don't share this opinion with our people. A lot of people don't share my opinion on this, and I just haven't given up hope yet. I think most people, I won't say all, but most people are inherently good. They just don't know how to react to negative situations. And it brings out the bad in people. Times of stress, war, and famine, and all these kinds of stuff that's going on, will bring out both sides of people. You really understand. I think you really get to see what people are made of. And those of us that can come out the other side of this on a positive note. Unfortunately, right now, I think we may not be the minority in this, but we've just got it's like being money whipped playing poker.
Mm-hmm.
It's and if y'all don't know what that is, it's somebody that's got a poker table, they've got a lot of money, and they will bet you out of existence. Okay. I think that's kind of what we're seeing, almost a bullying. It's the bigger, the people with the more influence are using it for a negative turn. But if enough of us that's on the positive side of this come together, maybe we can turn this thing around. I mean, am I being delusional here, or
I think
just too hopeful?
Yes.
I think that the panel that we have up here, I think, like, I'm for humanity and harmony. You mentioned the new norm. I think right now we're probably 80% at the new norm. I mean, this is it. I mean, to me, I'm done with it's 2020 forward. I think today is the new norm, and I still think people. I mean, if you're walking into stores, not as many friendly people as there was 5 years ago. There's still kind of a hustle and a bustle.
Mm-hmm.
They still look at if you sneeze, but you know what? So what? And that's just one thing. And I think that even more so, we are when you said maybe we are definitely the minority when it comes to this phenomena. I'll use the word phenomena to cover everything, because there are more people out there, Tex, that don't want Tex to succeed. They don't want Jason to succeed. They certainly don't want a paranormal channel to succeed, because I think a lot of people out there, that their narrative is not what our narrative is. And I hate to sound this way, and I think it was well before 2020. I think growing up, 2018, I started getting involved with this, and I was always wondering how come people are bickering, and they were bickering way before COVID. There was, and I'm not even talking about YouTubers. I'm talking about actual researchers that were flat out saying that Joe Blow's research they always show that word proof out there. Prove it, prove it.
Mhm.
And I'm sick and tired of hearing people say, give me the photo, give me this, give me that. We're not getting it, right? And I guarantee there's some great stuff out there that people aren't releasing. I unfortunately text, yeah, hey, I'm with you, and I hope that we could live in harmony. I think groups like us have to band together and become bigger and stronger because we are at the short end of the totem pole. And I think that maybe time will tell, Tex. I think maybe 2, 3, 4 years when maybe it gets back the way it was earlier. But as I said, we're living today is the new normal, I think. Maybe not 100%, but I think we're 75, 80% there. But I think it's channels like us, the Booze, a whole handful of other people, not going to get into names. We're the ones that got to fight the monster, the they, as we say all the time on Questions Everything.
Mhm.
They, and there's a they in the cryptid world, and they might even cover that too, and control that, like Jason was saying about MK Ultra and all this mind, brainwashing, all these things with our phones, televisions. We're all programmed. Everybody's programmed whether they want to believe it or not,
Mm-hmm.
and we really are. And like I said, I was thinking about buying something, whatever it was, is irrelevant to the story. Well, I wasn't going to buy it, but I'm on my phone one day, and it's like everything I think, I see the advertisement. So and I'm at the computer, and guess what I do? I hit that Amazon button, hit enter, and I put it in my shopping cart. I
Yep.
wouldn't have been doing that 5 years ago,
Yep.
Right.
10 years, certainly not 10 years ago. So we are influenced by other things out there. We call it
Yeah.
the they. But we're getting back to the subject of phenomena. We are in the minority when it comes to trying to work together in harmony. Because I guarantee you, there are people out there, they don't want to give up anything. And unfortunately, Tex, Jason, the girls, a lot of people are in this for a money grab. They're waiting for that quick $1 million, which we're not a part of that. But there are more than that's led to believe.
Mhm.
Well, I don't think we're in any danger of making $1 million when we pull in about $200 a month on the channel. So
Yeah, we would need 1 million subscribers. So everybody like, share, and subscribe. We're only at
There you go.
4,000. So yeah, we got. We might be dead by the time we hit it, but at least we'll be millionaires when we're dead. Give it to the
Well,
kids.
yes, no, that's absolutely true. However, just as conversely, the whole positivity thing, banding together, unifying, whatever. As you can tell, I'm really excited about this idea. But no, it's the other problem is they don't want that necessarily to happen. They are still, again, this is one of those things that again, the community kind of needs to talk about on Untold Radio, right? One of the things we've talked about several, as we've reviewed several books and documentaries is how the United States government has actively manipulated this phenomena
Mhm.
and the researchers themselves directly to create narratives, right?
Yep.
And people do not want to talk about that, and that's still that happens on the cryptozoological field. They want to manipulate this to create narratives that suit their purposes. I mean, we've had episodes shadow banned on this channel, we have, like, that's just a fact, because we're not necessarily what they want to promote. And I think sometimes it's like, oh, they want to hide the truth, they want to suppress the truth. I think it tends to be more along the lines of they want to promote things that maybe are ineffectual or keep people from seeing the patterns that might become more obvious, right? That some of the things we've been discussing on this channel, it's not even necessarily, it's more they want people looking here. They don't want them to look up here and see maybe how this all ties together. They don't care if you're wrapped up into Bigfoot or if you're wrapped up into Dogman or if you're but they don't want you to say, well, hold on, what does this all look like from a 50,000 foot view? And where are the connections and the patterns? That's what they don't want you to see. And those are the episodes that tend to be shadow banned more often, which is why y'all need to help us out by sharing us and inflicting us upon your friends, neighbors, and loved ones. And maybe, that jerk down the street. We don't care. But so, again, as we unite all of our positive Wonder Twin powers, great, groovy, but they don't want that necessarily to happen because they do like the confusion. Tex, you've always said that the community is its biggest problem. they don't have to hide the truth from anybody. They just need to make certain that
Well,
we're fighting amongst ourselves.
yeah, that's true. And the problem is, and that's what I was getting to earlier, you know, I mean, we tend to eat our own young. You know, we don't, instead of trying to
Because they're
uplift,
tasty.
but well, they're tender, but instead of trying to uplift these smaller channels that are up and coming, there's so many out there that see them as a threat and they want to put them down before they even get a chance, you know. And I think if we all, and by we and all, I mean all of us, everybody that listens to our stuff, you know, that supports us. If we all strive to do that, you know, it's like, we could be a million ants against one giant spider. Who's going to win?
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know, maybe it's,
you know, I think if we took that approach and we uplifted all these smaller channels that are actually saying they've got real stuff to say and they're not afraid to say it, we may be able to, you know, our rebellion is small but it's strong, you know, type
Right.
thing.
Right.
yeah. I look at it this way too. Again, I agree with the unity thing, but even to Jason's point, which he kind of frowned on, rightfully so, really, because you know, I'd love it to be a loving, peaceful, you know, this community, man, we're righteous, we're helping out the small guy, and I'm here to help out anybody. But I think that if we concentrate on the big picture versus what we have as a unit, these other channels just concentrate on what we're doing to bring forth what we think is positive versus negative. I think that would spread out as well. And we'd pick up more followers, you know, more people will want to come to hear what we say. Because I will tell you this, in the long run, these phony balonies that are just there to give views or to have 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 subs and just get everything, they're the ones that are going to fall on their face eventually. We've talked about this many times. Why do 50, and I know, and let's not start talking about they and shadow banning all this, but there's a whole assortment of channels out there or other shows. It's not even talk YouTube. They might have a subscription base of 50,000, but yet if you look at their videos, you're getting 1 or 200 views, 15 people in chat, because people are not dumb. They know when they're being led or given a line of crap. You can also buy subscriptions, bots. You can buy that, and that's like, I think, reflective. So as long as we stay at our task and people follow us, I think the world would be a better place in this phenomenon. Certainly, I think it's just too greater a task, like Jason's saying, to just think that we can just do this with even with the help of others, because there's too many, unfortunately, in this world. They're all about themselves.
Well,
Yeah.
Rob, I'm going to push back on that because I ain't
Go
lost
ahead,
this
Jay.
fight yet.
No, you haven't.
And I don't think I'm not ready to throw in the towel at all. And I think we can make a difference. I think we can overcome. And as long as we stay true to ourselves,
Yeah, I mean, I did say that we do
we're
make a difference.
gonna, you know, we're gonna make a dent in it.
Yeah,
And
we
I'm
are.
okay with just making a dent. I am, because you make enough dents and you total something.
Yeah.
So,
But like I did say, Tex, we are making a dent. I'm proud of what we do. When I'm speaking of this, yeah, we are making a dent. That's why we have a loyal subscription base, and they're dedicated people. We are doing it. I wish there were more like us doing it, but there's not. And so the more that we do it, then maybe more people will catch on, because people, as I stated, people can tell the contortionists from the people that are being honest, whether they agree or disagree. But yeah, Tex, we are doing the right thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, we started Blondes just to more, educate not only ourselves but others, in all aspects. And we're not into this for fame or anything like that, because Brandy can testify 2 weeks ago we were offered a TV show, and we turned it down because that's not what we do. You know, that's we want to be, you know, we don't need that. We want to be educated and we want to help others, and that's why we do this.
Unfortunately, I think we got a little off track, but
Yeah.
Have we ever stayed on track, Tex?
right. But we
But
always
it
go off
was
the
good
I
rails.
was gonna say, when are we ever on track?
Yeah. My
Yeah.
point being is, you know, we're not about like us, and I feel like you guys are the same way. You know, it's about educating others too. You know, and it's what makes the world go round. You know,
Yeah,
we all want to know the answers.
I completely agree.
And you know what you got to do first and foremost, everybody out there? You got to first have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right? If you're not having fun at what you're doing, then it's not worth doing. I tell you what, I'll be the first one not to do this if I wasn't having fun and thought it was a chore.
Right.
I thought that I was just getting beaten down day after day. You know, like you said, Tex, we ain't making no money doing this. We do it because we do it for the people and ourselves because we love what we do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and go ahead, Brandy.
I was just gonna say, my biggest thing of being on this platform with all of you is I just want people to feel comfortable to comment their feelings or, you know,
Right.
to email us and tell us your stories and just to feel comfortable to do that. Because there's a lot of people out there who won't do it because they're afraid of ridicule and all of that. They don't want to put up with it. So they just don't say anything. And that leads to us missing out on
Right.
maybe, I don't know, some key evidence
Right.
or something, you know, and that just makes me sad. It really does. But, you know, I'm just glad that we're here, that Blondes is here, and that we're on a platform where we can say, hey, come on, everybody will welcome you.
Right.
Just come on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let me ask all this, because I know some of us have different opinions on this, and some of us are on the fence. We don't really know. We haven't made our mind yet. But I want to go around the table and get a drill down a little bit. And what are y'all's opinions on the interaction or the mutual existence of the cryptids and the paranormal and the UFOs? I mean, where do you think that falls? Because I know the lines blur a lot because of what we see out there. But what I want to know is what's your gut feeling on this? I don't want you to analyze it. What's your gut feeling on this? What do you think what do you think the relationship is between all three of these? I know it's a tough question.
It is. It really is.
That is like, woo. That's
Yeah.
like one of the toughest questions I've been asked lately.
And perhaps it should be addressed after the break, since we're only a few minutes away from having to take that
We can
break.
do that. We can do that because I want to get everybody's.
I don't know if I'll have an answer then, Jason. I don't know. You know, it's
You better darn well have an answer,
I'll
Brandy.
think about it.
You think about it hard.
I will.
That's just it. I don't want y'all to think about it. I want your
Spontaneity.
Spontaneity. Yep.
Spontaneity.
Yeah, I have so many different views, and I tell you what, it changes daily because something else comes out, and then it changes again. You know, it's just strange, but
we can work on that after the break, Brando.
Rob, why don't you let everybody know what's going on this channel and where it can be found?
Yeah, this is Texas Front Porch. You can find it on Texas Front Porch on YouTube, 7:30 in the East. Tuesdays, Bob Van Buren Variety, 8 o'clock in the East, found on this channel and on Texas channel. Then Tuesday, right after Bob at 9 East, is Beyond BMR, found on this channel and Bigfoot Mystery Rob channel. And then, Jason, you're doing something right after that with AM Radio, Untold Truth.
Radio. Yeah. Mysterious Library on Untold
Mysterious
Radio
Library.
AM.
Then Wednesdays, we've got Serial Papers and Jason McLean Questions Everything. They're back-to-back starting at 9 in the East. And I'm going to leave it at that for Jason for a little later. Something might be going on with that. Thursdays, 12 Central, 1 in the East, Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. Thursdays, the girls, the Blonde and the Boo podcast. And then Friday, and that's on at 9 in the East. And then 9 in the East is Blondes, the Boos, and the Woo, found at Texas Front Porch. But also subscribe to Blondes and the Woo, Blondes and the Boos podcast if you haven't already. If any of our mods will throw the links out there. There's so many shows. I'm doing this all off the top of my head.
You're
sprung
good.
that on me.
I have to read it. You're good.
Try to sign more. My new goal for the 2023, right? Yeah, 23 already.
Yeah, almost.
Is not to have anything written down, just to talk. But then again,
well, and we've also dipped our toes into the TikTok nation. We're working on. I'm working on 1,000 followers so we can go live on TikTok. We're getting there. We've been there for Jason. How long have I been on?
Oh, just a couple of weeks. I don't even think it's been a month.
We're over 300 now, so we're getting there. And just so you know, awesome. I follow back. So you know,
he's got a lot of TikTok models on his that he's following. Oh
yeah. But hey, they follow us. I'll follow them back.
There you go. Well, and if you'd get more subscribers, if you just if you knocked out a couple TikTok dances, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, that'd work.
You just like the Wednesday dance. Dance. People would love it. That's all I'm saying.
The unfortunate thing about TikTok, it is part of they.
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely
is. It is. I'm on TikTok every day though myself.
I'm on it regardless because these two, Jason and Tex, send me videos daily, so I'm inundated with it.
Yep.
I'm doing research, clearly.
That was the first part of the show. Do we want to take a 5-minute break?
Please do.
Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break, folks, and we're going to come back with the second part of the show where we're going to get everybody's answers to the question that I posed, and we're going to go over everybody's comments and questions that I've been highlighting. There's like 20. I just hope we can get to all of them. So y'all don't run off because you don't want to miss it. Go grab you a glass of tea or something stronger, and we'll be back in 5 minutes, folks.
Sounds good.
Where's the button?
Hit the button, Tex.
Four minutes to go, folks. 4 minutes. 3 minutes. We're almost there. Two-minute warning, guys. 2-minute warning. One minute. 1 minute. And thanks everybody for sticking around. We are back. Now, who wants to start this off?
Doesn't matter to me. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like that question that you asked before break, you didn't name us blondes and booze and the woo for nothing.
Yeah,
I love it.
great point.
You
And
know,
there ain't a damn thing wrong with that, girl.
so like I guess a part of me, that woo side comes out on my beliefs on the paranormal, the cryptid, UFOs, all of that. I believe they're all intertwined, in some sort of fashion. As Brandy mentioned earlier, people see cryptids and then they see, an orb. Well, an orb in the paranormal, people see them all the time. So I think they're all interlocked in some way.
Yeah, I think. Sorry,
Go
please. No, please.
I was just going to continue on with her. And I believe that too. But I mean, we talk about people like we have different types of people have different abilities, such as we have psychic mediums, and then we have people who have clairvoyancy and just all kinds of things like that. Who's to say that cryptids? Let's just go with cryptids. Some of them have different abilities. Like it's not a one size fits all type of idea. I mean, they could have different abilities, which people do too.
Right.
So, I mean, that's my stance on it. I think it's all connected. I really do think it's all connected.
I do too. And people, you hear people talk about like mind speaking with Bigfoot. Well, or Dogman or whatever. Well, that's metaphysics if you, really get into it. So, I mean, it's all kind of intertwined and, I have no reason not to believe these people. They're credible people, So.
Yeah, like I said, text can count. I'm 30 seconds on any given day of just saying it's all paranormal and just moving on. But the thing I think we need to do is put some things in some boxes, and I think there's, again, it's why we kind of need to take that 50,000 foot view. I do think that there are material, naturally existing cryptids, right? They're physical creatures, and again, that may come in very exotic varieties, but they are still physical, natural creatures. But I think those are very, very low. I also think the government has a much larger hand in both the UFO and all this other phenomena than we even realize, right?
Mhm.
I think they're using a lot of this stuff as cover for their own black projects, for their own manipulation of the narrative. We can never take that out of the equation ever. But then I think there's a much larger slice of this pie that we call metaphysical, supernatural, whatever you want to call it. I think it's a much larger slice of the pie, and I think that slice of the pie wants us to think it's some of the other pieces as well, right? I don't think that I think the majority of this other slice of the pie isn't trying to is not presenting itself to us in an honest way, right? Maybe it's taking forms we would find more appealing, or maybe it's trying to deal with us in a way that our minds can wrap around, or maybe it's trying to be deliberately deceptive. But it's much older, it's been around a lot longer, and it does seem to want to play with how we perceive it, and maybe even not perceive it for what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, and again, when you have phenomena, but some of it's lying about what kind of phenomena it is, right? It's gonna muddy the waters. I think the more muddy the waters are, the better it is for this stuff to not. Again, we've asked this question all the time. Where's the line between research and worship?
Mm-hmm.
How often, how many people are encountering creatures, right? And they're thinking it's Bigfoot, and maybe even giving them access to their homes in ways. And it's not Bigfoot at all, or it's not a dog man, or it's not a whatever. It is something paranormal that is feeding off of the family and doing these other things. But as long as we don't recognize it for what it is, it still has that access, because we don't put up the walls you're supposed to put up around it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we know about that.
Mm-hmm.
We have to put walls up every time we go out.
Well, it's the same thing with like the UFO community. Again, plenty of abductees, you talk to them and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. This thing is coming into your house at night, kidnapping you, torturing you, and you're okay with it? Right. Well, because there are space brethren. Well, why would they torture you? Right. Well, it's science. Is it? Because why would they need to do any of this? If they're advanced enough to come here, and they have the abilities that even half the abilities you think that they have, you A, should not know it's happening. B, you should not remember anything. And C, they shouldn't need to be anywhere near as invasive as what you are describing. And why would they need to do it on such a regular basis?
Right.
Right. I mean, it is, like I said, and again, how much of that is, by the way, also the United States government doing some stuff, because we know they have. That's not even a question anymore. So it's the muddy. I think a lot of this stuff is. I think we have multiple phenomena, and a bunch of this phenomena. Definitely the United States government, but then also the paranormal stuff wants that water muddied, so we don't necessarily pick up which is which. It maybe gives them more access to victims.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yes, absolutely, Jason. I mean, I agree with. Again, we all have varying opinions. What Jason says, I will say this: it's such a, it's a question you just can't answer in 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, you could give a snapshot version, which I will do. I do think that if you talk about cryptids, I think cryptids do exist that are a flesh and blood creature. I do believe that. But like Jason said earlier, I think it's a small percentage. I think some of these things, if you were to shoot them, they would bleed. I do believe in that. But again, I don't think that number is as high as some people claim. I will say this. I think it all comes full circle, and I think everything is related, right? Ron Moorhead, who I respect, I respect researchers, but there's 2 or 3 that I really gravitate to, and Ron is one of them. he says the woo. He thinks he believes they're a flesh and blood creature, but he also has that woo element. Ron Moorhead will go as far as saying that he thinks they're actual aliens. Okay. And that's talking to a guy who's been doing this for 50, 60 years. I got to respect a little bit of that. I have to.
Mhm.
But he's not the only person that said that. I think that a lot of these things, maybe they come from different dimensions, right? I'm not going to say they're star people, but some people suggest they are. Again, for all those diehard Bigfooters, I think they have a flesh and blood element. I do, and I think they're real. But then you got First Nations people that talk about the spiritual side, where it's not physical, yet they can see through it. They speak with it. So there's just so many incantations. There's so many things revolving this. There's not one pat answer, and my opinion changes daily, weekly, but they all come full circle. You're right, blondes and booze. A lot. How many times have you had reports of Bigfoot and then there's orbs, or a Bigfoot just came out of nowhere, or disappeared into nowhere, or our footprints, the tracks, they just disappear out of nowhere. There's a track that's in the snow, in the middle of a snow covered field, walking to the tree line, then it just vanishes, right? How can you account for that? How can you really explain that? I don't know. I'm not suggesting it got beamed up in a spaceship or it just walked through a portal, but these are things we certainly got to entertain. I am a one that believes in everything, and I think there's more things out there than just what we're even talking about. And I do think that the paranormal is a huge element. I think even bigger today for me now than it was maybe 5 years ago. And I think a lot of the things that people are seeing might not be Bigfoot either. I think Jason and I and Tex all agree on that. We don't know exactly what we're seeing, right? Hey, I flip flop on my story. What I saw was flesh and blood, looked like a human being, for God's sakes, a human. Then it looked into something that wasn't. Then I've spoke to people that says yes, it was, and here's the reason why. Da da da. And I've spoken to other people that I respect to say, well, no, that was something else, and here's why, and da da da. Again, I have my own belief. I'm not going to air that here. I think I've aired it plenty of times, but it's the unknown. It's paranormal is a reason. There's a word for paranormal. It doesn't just mean ghosts and apparitions. Paranormal means different, right? It's something that's strange or different or unfounded. And I think what we're researching, what we're looking into, it's all unfounded, right? It's unfounded until we actually have that physical evidence in our hand. Now we know for sure. Is that going to happen? Who knows? I do know one thing, and I'll let Tex give his little comment. The last 5 years, I believe big time in the paranormal. I've seen paranormal things that since my first encounter. But then again, it dates back to childhood where I thought I was dreaming, but they were actually apparitions or entities, right? In fact, when I was at a log cabin up north, what I thought was a big shadow, I today believe was a Bigfoot going past the silhouette, stood in, stared at me and my brother, and walked away. And it walked off in the shadow of the moonlight. What was that? Back then, we didn't know what that was. Me and my brother were thinking a bear, but we were 5, 6, 7 years old. Your brain isn't fully functioning. Now, today, as an adult and going through, and what really helps me is talking to different researchers and having people call in with their encounters that we do every day on these shows. You learn things daily. Every day you learn something new, and I like to keep an open mind to it because I think it all comes full circle. I don't care. That's why I like calling everything a phenomenon today, because it's all, to me, interrelated. The dog man could come from planet X. It very well could be. Another point that I think is an important point that Jason brought up, a lot of these things are probably manufactured. They're right here in the good old United States, underground military bases. I'm sure there's facilities experimenting with creating perhaps not Bigfoot or Dogman, but there's probably other things in the forest that are being made, right, for maybe warfare, maybe just maybe it's part of the 411, right? So there's some obscure creatures and beings. The government can even make portals. The portal doesn't necessarily have to be something that evolves from outer space or from wherever. It could also be man-made. They weaponize these things. as we found out on the show I was watching the other day. So whether that's true, whether it's not, I don't know. Who am I to say what's true or not? All I know, there's lots of things out there that we still, that's what I love the subject, because I don't know and I learn every day. And I think it all does come full circle. And I think everything's interrelated and twined together. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right. I believe that there is a difference. And that comes with a caveat. When I say I believe there's a difference between the physical and the metaphysical things that we're running into, it's just because I haven't seen the evidence to change my mind yet. When I do, I'll be the first one to jump on here and go, you know what? I was wrong. This thing, mind spoke to me. It's definitely a Bigfoot, and there it is. That has not happened to me, and I use mind speaking as an example because I haven't, as far as Bigfoot and Dogman go, okay, I'm going to talk about those two cryptids. I think they're flesh and blood, physical creatures that have, I don't want to call them metaphysical or supernatural powers. Okay. I think they are very good at what they do. They're masters of their environment. And everything that I've seen as far as what I think were the physical creatures that I ran into, I can explain away with a natural explanation. Now, there are other things that I've encountered that we as a group have encountered, and not Brandy and Krista yet, because they haven't been out in the field with us. Well, Rob too. Me and Jason, damn it. Me, Jason. You know what? Me, Jason, Randy, and Rob, and Pops, and y'all know him as Gary Sr. in the chat, Gary Jr., and Ranger X. What we've all experienced is hard to define other than supernatural, paranormal, as it were. I think these other entities are for some reason are attracted to these cryptids. I don't know why. I think on occasion, they pretend to be them. I'm not saying this is what exactly is happening. I'm just saying it's a possibility, and I hope that everybody can be open-minded enough to realize that I'm not stating this as fact. I'm stating this as my opinion. Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one, and they all stink. So I've said this a million times. If I said it once, I'm not calling anybody. I will never call anybody, out for going, well, your experience is BS. I will never do that because I wasn't there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But what if there's other entities out there that are telling you that they're Bigfoot? They're communicating with you because they know that you want so bad to have an interaction with Bigfoot that that's the way they will accept them communicating with you. Good, bad, or indifferent doesn't matter. Their intention-wise.
Mm-hmm.
But what if they're using that to get their foot in the door and communicate with you? Okay, if they have bad intentions, that's not going to be a good thing. You've let them in. You've let them in. You've let your protection down. You took that armor off for just a bit. You've let them in.
Mm-hmm.
if it's a good, if they have good intentions, what if they're trying to communicate other things to you, and this is the way that they won't scare the living daylights out of you because you're already prepared to run into that cryptid.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as the UFO thing goes, I have not decided if UFOs are actually aliens or, on Jason's point of view, if they're a spirit of some kind, be it evil, be it good, whatever. I don't know. For the sake of argument, let's say they're aliens. A lot of people say, okay, well, how come you have so many reports that I saw a UFO, and then I saw a Bigfoot. I saw a Bigfoot getting off a UFO, getting on a UFO, whatever. Well, what makes you think that they're not being abducted just like we are? Okay, that, to me, that makes sense. Why wouldn't these things want to study them? If they study us, we're boring as hell. Well, why wouldn't they want to study these creatures as well? You know, if they got bad intentions, I damn sure want to study what was on the planet I was about to take over, especially as powerful as these things are.
Mm-hmm.
As far as these things being metaphysical, one of my arguments for them not being metaphysical, as far as Bigfoot and Dogman go, Bigfoot really, is why do they leave so much physical evidence? Why do we even see them?
Mm-hmm.
Why do they do tree breaks? Why do they do this? Why do they do that? Why do they leave footprints? They don't have to. If they're walking in and out of portholes at will, why don't, y'all leave me in my portholes alone. I know what you're laughing at.
I will do no such thing, Tex Dario.
It reminds me, I ran through a pothole the other day. I had to change my tire, but go ahead.
That is where I'm at on this. I believe at this point that there are physical creatures out there that have no supernatural otherworldly abilities, but there's entities that are presenting themselves as such that do have these capabilities. I can't say their intention. I hope they're good. Their mind speaking to y'all, I hope they're good intentions. I will say this: I have not gotten any. I won't say any. I haven't got very many reports of people having a mind speak experience that where it's been negative, that they quantify as being a Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them have been, very positive experiences. Maybe we have, and I think we have good ones and bad ones as far as, let's say, aliens for our entities even. I think they're on both sides of the fence on that. Same thing with cryptids. I think if, great granddad was shot in the ass by Daniel Boone, he pissed him off and he's mad at all humans, and that's how they interact with him now.
Shot him Bigfoot when he was only 12. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. So that's where I'm at on this. But like I said, folks, I approach this with an open mind. And if I see evidence to convince me otherwise, you're going to hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
I do not mind saying I was wrong. That I use that word a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I've been married 30 plus years. No wonder I use it. I'm, but that's where I stand on this.
Which is a
Now,
long way
I
to
will
say that
say
you
this.
agree with me.
I will say this. There's more. I've had more encounters that I tend to think were paranormal than I do that were physical creatures. There's maybe a handful of encounters that I've had that I'm convinced were physical creatures. But I think that is also where I, because of where I research, you know, we're going to find that out. We've got some new areas on the on the radar, I guess you could say, that we're looking at getting into. So that's my humble opinion. That's how I feel, and I fully respect anybody that has these other encounters. I've got dear friends, and I've said this a million times. I've got dear friends that claim to have communication. One of them is in the chat, you know, and it's a genuine concern of mine that what if it isn't Bigfoot,
Right.
you know, and most people, when they have a mind speaking experience, and you ask them how do you know it was Bigfoot, the answer is, well, they told me. That worries me.
Right.
Okay. But I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying that it didn't happen. Okay. I just, and I think we all need to respect each other's opinions. And it's like I say in the intro, we don't always agree. And that's all right. That's how
Right.
we learn.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So that's my opinion. I mean, you can beat me up for it if you want. I'm
we
all
will.
right. But anyway, let's get to some of these comments and questions, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's one I want to start with real quick, just very, very quickly. A. Brunson was asking why Daniel Boone? Like, why are we throwing Daniel Boone under the bus? I have an answer for this, and you can read about it. Oh, darn it. Where did I put the book? Here it is. And you can read about it in Metroplex Monsters, Dallas Demons, Fort Worth Goatmen, and Other Terrors of the Trinity River, available wherever fine books and trashy rags are sold. That's even the encounter right there. Daniel Boone had an encounter back in the Piney Woods, back in back in them diggity days. So that's why we threw Daniel Boone under the bus. You may go, Tex.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate the permission.
I'm
just going to
figured only be fair.
I'm just going to start at the top. Gary Spock Sr., one of those men that I respect, I trust my life with, fantastic tracker, fantastic human being. I guarantee you, ever go out in the field with him, you will not want for anything. He says encroachment of us on their homes is one of the biggest reasons. And he's talking about why are we seeing more interaction, why are we seeing more encounters? And I agree, because the where I grew up, when I grew up out there, you could literally shoot a 22 in almost any direction and not have to worry about where it went.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Now
anymore.
you can spit and you'll be worried about where it lands. You've got these people moving in from the city. They move out to what used to be the country. It's now turned into suburbs. That are calling 911 because there's a possum in their yard. So,
yes, that is all the damn time.
And I'm not exaggerating, folks. That actually happened. So
they're Californians too.
That explains everything.
It really does.
So I think that is a very big reason why one of the biggest reasons why we are seeing more encounters, and that leads right into what Jason talks about, the green wall. Now, the green wall, let me explain that to you. So you've got the Trinity River Basin. Yes, it's in that book. the green wall now, what borders each side of the river is a tree line, okay, or a brush line. It may not be very thick, may not be very wide, but if these things are as good as camouflage, half as good as we give them credit for, it ain't nothing to them to walk through a tree line that's 5 meters wide and never be seen. Okay, they use these rivers. My belief is, and a lot of folks have this opinion that they use these rivers like highways. You know, so that is a very. I think that is one of the. I agree that is one of the biggest reasons. Now, Rhonda Williams says, back in March, I had an encounter with a monster, aka Bigfoot. Same place I've seen orbs up on the mountain. There we go.
Yep.
To dive into that a little bit, we have to ask ourselves, what are these orbs? People have different opinions. They're aliens from another planet. They're spirits. They tend to move with intelligence. You know, what if let's jump to the alien side. What if they're probes here to monitor stuff? It would make sense if they're studying these creatures to see them around these creatures. Okay? If they're spirits, I'm going to let y'all girls chime in on this one, because why do you think if these orbs are spirits, why would they be hanging around these Bigfoot? In your opinion?
Go ahead, Kristen.
Oh, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I said, I just think it's all intertwined and they all run hand in hand. So like you know, I mean, are they, I feel like the spiritual realm is just like one little fine layer over from us. So in my opinion, I think they're all connected. So they're all right there together. Now the orbs that people see in the woods, is it a Bigfoot? Is it an alien? Is it a ghost? I don't know, you know, but it is kind of weird that people do see the orbs when they do have some Bigfoot encounters as well as UFO encounters, you know. I don't know.
Well, I mean, even the UFO that I just showed earlier in the episode is just a giant orb.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes back to the whole question of, a lot of assumptions are made that all UFOs are craft, but what if they're not?
Right.
It just means unknown flying object. Again, it goes back to, I think we're putting a lot of things in boxes. We think that putting it in a box means we know what it is, but that's not necessarily the case.
Right.
It's kind of like you're going to have to actually go and identify the orb and what it is. It's because it could be a spirit. It could be alien technology. It could be just energy. Who knows exactly what it is? It's
right.
That's, you know, and I agree with Krista that it's just all coming together in a big old blur. It's we can't define what exactly the orb is anymore.
And this is something that's come up, and just because Jessica's not here to brought up, there's a lot of people who've suggested that orbs are people remote viewing. Same thing with shadow people. What if those are people who are remote viewing and you're seeing the remote viewer, or even someone traveling on the astral plane, which is different from remote
I
viewing.
like train better.
Yeah, the astral train.
Yeah, that would be a definite question for her. I mean, can you see something like that from somebody remote viewing? I've never heard of that. But she has said that, you know, you can bump into other remote viewers, you know, but I've never heard her explain what it's like, you know. Right. So, but somebody who is not remote viewing, standing there, could they be able to see them as an orb?
Right.
I've
Mhm.
never heard of that part. It's a good question. We need to ask her.
Jessica also had made mention of something where when she was doing a remote viewing, she tried to identify what she saw as she's seen herself,
Wow.
which is very interesting.
Like the cave on
Yeah.
Dagobah.
Yes, absolutely, Jason.
So
Yeah,
Corey
I would be
Cole-
interested to know that. I mean, because if I were standing there and I was not doing the remote viewing, there we go. There's the words again. Would I be able to see somebody doing it?
Well, and that's a great topic for one of y'all shows to have Jessica on a Friday and talk about it.
Hmm. I actually
I
did.
would love to hear all y'all sit down and talk about this, because that would be I think that would be a fascinating show.
I actually did reach out to her today to see if she would come and do a women's roundtable panel with us.
Yeah, we were
Awesome.
already thinking.
Yep, I'm ahead of you.
Great minds. What can we say?
Yep, that's right.
I'm
Corey
like, I have a
Cole,
ton of questions. Of course, I always do.
Corey Cole says, have any of you noticed a pinkish haze around the horizon at night?
It would depend on the time of day. I mean, it's not uncommon to
seen
have
it.
have pink, particularly during the summer for a Texas, for a Texas sunset. That's not unusual at all.
Yeah, well, we deal with a lot of dust that casts, especially if it's kicking up from the red, that will throw it, and so I haven't noticed it lately, but now I'll be looking. But let's see. Gene Hudson says, my opinion don't really matter, but in chat we have become a family, so we share when someone needs to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Yes, I do too. And your opinion does matter. We respect you a lot around
Yes,
here.
it does,
Sure.
Gene.
Yep.
It does
Everybody's
matter.
opinion matters. Everybody's opinion matters.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's why I love the platform. I said that earlier, is because people can come here and express what they want to without anybody saying anything about it. And I just love that.
Mm-hmm.
Straw Dog says they have now set up walking trails in the area where I experienced Bigfoot. And see that
Going back to that encroachment.
Yes.
Yep.
Because I think they know what's out there. I don't think there's any ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think they know what's out there, and they're trying to almost make a zoo out of these parks. It's more of a what do you call it? A wildlife park where you drive through it nowadays, but maybe they know the safe areas and type things, because I do think they're tracking these things to a certain extent.
But again, going back to the whole green wall concept. Once you've put a path right in an area, people are going to stick to the path, and so you're letting everything know where everyone's going to be, and so all they have to be is just away from that.
Right.
So it's one of those things where it goes both ways. Even if they don't know that that's what's going on, we drive on concrete bridges to concrete islands, right? Most people even including if you include dirt roads, most people never go more than a mile off of a road at any time in their lives. So the more while we are encroaching, we're also giving them notice as to where we'll be, so they don't necessarily have to be there if they don't choose to be.
Texas Jack says the place he had his first major encounter is now a subdivision.
Yeah.
Yep.
That goes right back to what we were talking about earlier. 911 because there's a possum in the yard. Encroachment, yes. I think that it's definitely happening, and it breaks my heart. One of the things that really tears at my heartstrings is watching these logging videos where they're cutting down these just huge 1,000-year-old trees, 100-year-old trees, and I just like, man, I just hate it. I just hate it. Pam Smith Says, I think my neighbor is possessed. She followed that up with, she carries a doll baby around and says it's her husband. Well, I don't know if that leads to possession, but might be some other stuff going on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's definitely something going on.
something's happening.
Yeah.
I was I bounced for a while, and we had a waitress that quit. Supposedly, she just quit showing up. She showed back up at the club one night, about 6 months later, and she made her rounds and hey, all this kind of stuff, and she left again. And a buddy of mine was coming in to see me. He goes, "Hey, there's a woman out in the parking lot beating herself in the head with a brick." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah." So I naturally have to go out and see what's going on. It was this waitress, and she was sitting between her car and another car, and she was beating herself on the head with a brick, and she was crying and all this kind of stuff. I got the brick away from her, I sat down, I held her, got to talking to her, while, kind of nodded my buddy to go in and, tell my manager to make some calls.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's obviously something I wasn't going to handle on my own.
Mm-hmm.
But she proceeded to tell me that she was going away and that I was welcome to come with her. And, I'm trying to, humor her and calm her down. And she proceeded to tell me that her husband and son were coming to get her. We'll come to find out her husband was God and her son was Jesus. So,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, there was something I wanted to add on to that. Now, it's not necessarily that she might be crazy. Now, we in the paranormal world have heard about Robert the doll.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is in Texas, matter of fact, in a museum in Texas.
Robert is now in Florida.
Oh, is it
Oh.
Is it in Florida? Okay.
Good.
I couldn't remember exactly where it was at. But they talk about this doll, and this doll was given to a child.
Mm-hmm.
Now this doll was possessed, and the child was not, but the child would act like this doll was a real person.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's hard to say if the lady is having some type of mental issues or if the doll itself is possessed.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to know. It's hard to know. I mean, because Robert the doll has caused a lot of people a lot of problems, and it's got rules like you make sure you say hello, you make sure you ask to take its picture, you have to tell him goodbye. I mean, but if you do not follow the rules, bad things can happen, and people have blamed it on the doll. So if she's a little bit on the crazy side, I hate saying that. If she's having some mental issues, that's one thing. But then again, there's been stories of possessed dolls where it's not the person, it's the doll. So, I mean, it's
Correct.
neither here nor there. I
Yeah.
just wanted to add that.
Yeah.
next we have Gene Hudson again. Well, something is coming, and the cryptids and paranormal are very much aware of it.
Yep.
I cannot agree. I cannot disagree with that.
Yeah.
I think these critters and whatever else we're dealing with are a lot more aware of what's going on than we are.
Yeah.
Flat Rock. Oh, Flat Rock. Man. How you doing, Flat Rock? Love you, brother. We actually got to meet him in Alabama.
Yep.
I would just like for a scientist to come out and let the world know these creatures are real. Not much to ask for, in my opinion. I would like to see that happen too. I think it's going to happen. and I think I've said this 1,000 times. I think it's going to happen in my lifetime, but I'm living to 124 unless I fall off a roof.
What I think I shown was Robert the Doll.
I actually have a Robert the Doll, but it's in a keychain version that our blonde partner Aaron brought me back from Florida this year.
That thing scares the crap out of me.
Yeah,
What's the name of the
Why?
other doll that's
Why?
famous, Krista?
What's that?
What's the name of the other doll that's famous?
Annabelle.
Annabelle. There's the other one.
That's a Raggedy Ann doll. That is way more scary than the thing they used in the film. I didn't even watch the movie because I don't do horror films anymore. But it's like, I saw there was like, here's the real Annabelle. It's a Raggedy Ann doll, and I'm like, nope, I would burn it on sight.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even need it to be possessed. It's like, nope, I'm done. Now I'm out.
I can review evidence, go ghost investigating. I can do all kinds of things, but I tell you what, you watch me a scary movie and I can't sleep. I can't.
Don't bother me. I can go right to sleep in any of those type things.
Yeah.
I can't now with a scary movie.
Yeah, I can watch It or Chucky, any of them. Don't bother me a bit.
I tend to fall asleep listening to books about serial killers and horror stories, and so it doesn't bother me.
I can sleep in a haunted house, but I can't watch a scary movie. That does not make any sense.
Years ago, I was at a Barnes & Noble, and they had one of those Elf on the Shelf, but it was in a box, right? But it was like a book, and I'm like, it's Elf on the... And I opened it thinking it was a book, and there was that damned elf on the shelf looking at me, and I'm like, F no, close it and put it up. I'm like, no. It was, I opened it, I'm like, this is the devil. And I put it up. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this at all.
Everybody take note. He's afraid of Elf on the Shelf.
Yeah. Scariest doll I've ever seen in my life was a
Guess what you're getting next Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, again, flamethrowers are a thing for a reason. I was at another bookstore, and I looked, and they had those Funko Pops, right? Except they had one for Piglet. They had like the Winnie the Pooh character. I'm like, oh, well, and then I look at Piglet. I don't know how in the ever-loving world that design was approved, because you just look at this thing, it's like everyone. I'm like, this is Piglet as a Funko Pop. They're like, why does it want to eat my soul? Everyone. I'll see if I can find it real quick. But
I remember a show way back when we were talking about that, and you actually showed it.
Yeah. I'll see if I can find it real quick. Y'all talk amongst yourselves.
Texas Jack says, I like to think of it as more of a mob or rabble than a community. It's like a community, but spicy.
Spicy.
Kind of like the Real Housewives of YouTube. Pat Murphy says, I'm sick with the upper respiratory infection. I need prayers. Thanks, everyone.
Absolutely.
Pat, you got prayers. Get out to you.
Sending prayers, Pat.
Definitely, she's got prayers, as well as people would keep Letitia Nunley in their prayers. She had surgery today.
We'll do that for sure.
So for both Pat and Letitia, it'd be great.
Rhonda Williams says, my heart breaking when you open up. It's heartbreaking when you open up and people mock you or don't believe you. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. And that is what we try to, that's why we try to give people a safe space, and almost hate that term, but that's what it is,
right.
Because we're not going to do that to you, and we won't put up with other people doing it to you either.
Right.
And, so.
Well, Krista and I will be the first ones to tell you, hey, we weren't there. We don't know.
Right.
You weren't there. You don't know.
Right.
So how can you tell them they didn't see something?
Right.
So.
Yep.
Gary Spock Sr., a.k.a. Pops. That's what I call him. Why should we show pics when they say they are all fake? That is true. That is the problem. Because if you get a pic that, it's a blob squatch, it's pareidolia. If you get a really good pic, it's automatically fake. So it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. That gets right back to where we were talking about this community per se eats its own young. It's not just the smaller channels, the upcoming people. It's the people that put their evidence out there and they get chastised for it.
Right.
Come on, folks.
Mm-hmm. My philosophy is, Brandy and I both administrate a really big Bigfoot group on Facebook, and it's all day long. People are bashing people, but we were not there. And I tell people, scroll on by. If you don't see it or you don't agree with it, scroll by. It's not a hard thing to do.
Right.
I don't always see it myself, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, if somebody sends me a picture, what's your opinion, Tex? I'm going to give them my opinion, and it
Right.
might not be what they want to hear, but I'm
Right.
not gonna drag them through the brush over it either.
Exactly. And there's other factors too, that pictures or video, maybe some videos, but like there's smells and there's sounds that pictures don't pick up. I wasn't there
Right.
to hear or see the whole story of that picture.
Right.
So that's why we don't knock them. We just, tell
There's
people.
been times that I've had like pictures, excuse me, I've had pictures and didn't show them to anybody because I doubted myself.
Right.
And then one day is like, I was with Krista. I said, hey, Krista, what do you think about this? And she pointed it right out. And she goes, I see that.
It's a dog man.
But yeah, so she's seen it in my picture.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't see it when I took it, there were things going on the night that had happened, but I didn't see it. So I didn't, in the paranormal world, we're like, when in doubt, throw it out.
Right.
So we just, we just say, well, if somebody can say, well, that's fake or that's not real or they can't see it, we're just going to throw it out. So we have to be very sure that when we have something, we can put it out there and you can see it.
Right.
So, is it harsh out there sometimes? Absolutely. Because, people don't see it. They have to, tell you, hey, I don't see it. And then they have to be, I guess, rude about it, basically.
Yeah, and I don't get that.
No.
North Carolina Cryptid and Paranormal Project, aka NCCPP. I'm all in with you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We just made Tom a moderator on Blonde's page tonight.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Very nice.
Nice.
Yep.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, we like Tom.
Oh, Hilton Whittlewood. Something really bad has to happen before we come out the other side together and positively. Unfortunately, rock bottom. And that's, I think that's true. I think we're going to have to
think about 9/11.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're going to have to hit that proverbial rock bottom before everybody wakes up and really comes together again. It's something we haven't seen in a while, like you said, since 9/11.
Yeah.
So
that's the last time that I've seen our country undivided.
Right.
Speaking of terrible things and pictures of things that are truly evil.
Don't mess with Piglet.
Hey, I'm not the one who made the Funko Pop. That's that's terrifying. He's like, I would like some honey with your soul.
Oh God.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's nightmare fuel. Who someone approved that doll? Someone was like, yep, this is the best version of Piglet we can come up with. Oh.
Gene Hudson says, and who the heck is they that we give them so much power?
Well, you have to go back to that video.
Yeah, go watch Jason's show on who is they. Was that a questions everything, or was that a serial paper?
It was a questions everything, and Piglet's probably one of them. This version of Piglet. Whenever I hear this is what I think of.
Kind of looks
it's a black-eyed piglet.
Looks like ice cream. Looks like an ice cream.
I don't understand why you find it so terrifying, but whatever.
You've got more experience with the dolls than I have, Tex.
That's probably true. Strangeland says, I shared a few things and then thousands of pics got altered, deleted, and files, etc. were removed. So no trust when there's truth that can change. So I don't open up anymore. I understand. I totally understand if that kind of stuff is happening, it's yeah.
Rob and I had that happen on this channel. After we got done, it was the questions everything. We had the Truth Defender podcast on. We were talking to him after the show.
Yep.
everything went like he started talking, things went nuts. It was his phone, my phone, and the channel all at the same time. It was nuts.
Wow.
Speaking of nuts, we've come to the end of the second hour.
Well, folks,
Time
it's been a hoot. Thank you thank you for joining us. We almost made it through all the comments and stuff. Honestly, guys, if y'all have an encounter or something, and you want our opinion, I'm not saying we're experts. There are no experts, but we will offer you an opinion.
And we will listen.
If you're having problems dealing with it, we'll try to point you in a direction. If you just need an ear to bend, whatever, just reach out to us. We're not hard to find. The emails are out there. The phone number's out there. Shoot us a text. Excuse me. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for your continued support. Thanks, everybody, for a great year. And we're going to do we'll do a
pig roast.
Use your words, Tex.
I'm trying. We'll do something for New Year's. We'll figure something out.
Can we watch the Bigfoot drop?
Here's what I'm doing on New Year's.
Yeah, I know you're going to watch Michigan.
There you go. Randy Boom.
Hey, they need all the support they can get. They're going to need all the shoulders they can climb.
Yeah.
I told you, if they lose, I'll cry like a girl. It's okay.
For those of you that don't know, I'm a TCU fan, and so is Randy. And TCU and Michigan are playing. Yeah. So,
And then you have the Michigan people.
Right.
This next weekend should be pretty good.
It should be very good.
But y'all have a great night. Rob, tell us where they can find us again.
Well, you can find us at Texas Front Porch. Mondays.
Oh, thank you, Rob.
Mondays, 7:30 in the East. Texas Front Porch, Mondays, 7:30 in the East. Followed up on Tuesday, we've got Van Buren Variety at 8 in the East. 9 in the East, Beyond BMR. You can find Jason over there at AM Untold Truth Radio. Wednesdays, you've got first show Wednesday, Jason is Suru Papers and Jason McLean questions everything. That starts at 8 in the East, or excuse me, 9 in the East, and runs right into the next installment of Questions Everything. Thursday, noon or 1 in the East, brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Thursday night, the Blondes and Booze podcast. Then Friday night, these are both at 9 in the East. Then again, Friday night, the Blondes and Booze and the Woo podcast. You can find us on Texas Front Porch, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, the Blondes and Booze podcast. Don't forget the Serial Papers with Jason McLean and Van Buren Variety. Please subscribe, share us out, show the love, show the support. Thanks for making this year a great year. And if I didn't say Merry Christmas to anybody, well, you got it belated for me. Let's move on to a new year, and I can't wait for Tex to buy me that steak dinner, because we do have a bet on this game, Brandy. If you'd like to join in on the wager, we can double up on Tex.
I might have to.
Y'all heard it. They're going to owe me a steak dinner. Guys, thank you, everybody for joining us tonight, and thank you for your continued support. Y'all be careful out there.
Yep.
I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. There were some birthdays that took place, so happy late birthday to y'all. And y'all be careful and stay warm, stay safe, and we will catch y'all on the flip side.
Bye-bye.